podcast. Súbele volumen. Conversation with the people who were with me. In the world TV. Carlos tonight. Historias de un reportero. Carlos tonight. Dale que viene lo bueno.
Hey everybody, bienvenidos and welcome to Carlos Tonight. Thank you so much for watching and for listening. I really appreciate it. I'm very excited to introduce you to my guest this week, but before we do that, I want to invite you to check out my website. That's carlostonight.com. There you can find more information about the podcast, check out past episodes, and see who's coming up next as far as guests. So that's carlostonight.com. My guest this week runs his own detective agency in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and has over 20 years investigating infidelity cases. And if you're familiar with the reality show Cheaters, then you may know Detective Daniel Gomez. He was the lead detective on the show for many years. Detective Gomez, thank you so much for being part of my podcast. How are you?
Fantastic. Really good. Thank you, Carlos.
Cool. So thanks for being here. For people who have never seen the show Cheaters, Cheaters is a show featuring couples with one partner who is committing adultery or cheating on the other person. As a detective, that's where you come in. Tell us about the job that you do and why it's so important for people, especially those who suspect their partner is cheating on them.
Well, I personally, I've been cheated on myself. Okay. So when my clients come to me, I know exactly how they feel. And sometimes it's not all about a divorce. Sometimes it is, but lots of times it's just the human instinct inside of you that you just got to know whether this person's lying to you or not. You just got to know the truth. That's just the bottom line. And people will do whatever it takes within legally, of course, that to do to catch their spouse or significant other's cheating.
Right. All right. So Detective Gomez, you have a bachelor's in criminal justice and a master's in psychology with more than 12 years in law enforcement. What drew you to this line of work in the first place?
Just something different. Just something a little bit different than what I was doing. And I got more out of helping people with their livelihoods as far as, the infidelity thing. And I specialize in infidelity, but I do other cases also. But just helping people out and then being appreciated for it. And then the TV show was looking for a private investigator to lead their investigations on the TV show at that time when they were just starting out. And they asked me if I wanted to help out. I said, sure, I'll help out. And it ended up lasting more than 20 years.
Wow. I could only imagine the amount of time and work that goes into catching people doing things that they're not supposed to be doing. What's a day for you during like a typical investigation, like a day in the life?
A day in the life is, you have all kinds of clients. You have clients that are willing to understand that it's an investigation and there's time that needs to be put into it. Then you got the other clients that say, Detective Gomez is cheating right now. Look, can you go catch him right now? And I try to make these clients understand that I do have a schedule. I do have other clients, and I can't just drop what I'm doing wherever I'm at to go catch them cheating just because they feel that. And lots of times, and I understand lots of times they feel at that moment they may be lying, but are they cheating? So when you put a lying and cheating together, of course, you got the infidelity thing. But lots of times people, they get so emotional that they expect me just to be on call 24 hours a day, and it doesn't quite work like that.
Wow. And I can only imagine that most people, I would assume, are desperate to get to the truth of things.
Well, they're desperate, but they're just tired of being lied to.
Yeah.
They're tired. They know their spouse. They know what their personality traits are, and they know when they've changed, and they know when they're acting different, and they know something's going on, and that human instinct inside of us wants to know the truth.
So what are some of the things that you look for in a case of infidelity?
The first thing I look at is time. It's the first thing I look at. How much time are they spending away from you? Because there's 24 hours in a day. So you get about 8 hours of sleep. Then you got another, 16 hours to kind of work, mess around, do whatever you got to do, get away from the house. So I start subtracting time from what they're telling their spouse and try to figure out an angle so I can catch them. But it all comes down to time at the end of the day, because they've got to take time away from you to go spend with somebody else, someplace, somewhere, somehow.
At what point in a relationship do people come seeking your service?
It can, sometimes it's in the beginning. I've had clients tell me, well, I met this guy. He was married when I met him, but he left his wife for me. I think he might do it again. Or they might have, noticed a different personality, how they've changed their personality, started dyeing their hair, working out, and all kinds of things like that. And go, he didn't used to do this before. Why is he doing it now? Or he spends more time at work. But but it comes down to the time factor again. They start changing their habits and then spending time someplace else.
So out of all the cases you've worked on, what percentage of people do find out that their partner is cheating?
About 75%.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
That's a big number.
Yeah.
Can you work or can your work be dangerous? If so, how?
It can, it can be dangerous as far as, people are like, hey, did somebody ever come after you? I said, no, not really. The biggest factor I have sometimes is just the general public, because we live in a society right now where everybody thinks, if you see something, say something. So you have to be very careful where you're watching somebody at, and you got to be very careful how you're doing it. I mean, I try to tell people to go, well, the tip to go is when you go watch them, are you like wearing a black toboggan and, undercover? And I said, no, I just dress in a pair of sandals and shorts and, just polo shirt and just look normal. The more normal you look, the more you mix in. But when you try to do too much, then people start, asking questions like, hey, what's that car doing sitting out there? What's that guy, wearing a hoodie during the summertime? What's he trying to hide? You just got to be kind of smart about it.
That was actually my next question. I imagine when I think of a private detective, I think you're like in the bushes, you're coming out of a dumpster, but that's not the case. Like
it's really not. It's more about just trying to be as normal as you can. But every once in a while, you do get a few, think about like this. I mean, you could be doing surveillance for 3 or 4 hours, and that 1 minute or 2 or 3 minutes, something happens, you have got to react and get the shot, whatever it takes. That's what they're paying you for. So every once in a while, you do get that little James Bond kind of thing going on, or Mission Impossible thing going on, where you've got to make it happen. If the situation's happening and someone's cheating with somebody, you got to some way get that shot, that video, that picture, or something. You got to get it because that's what they're paying you for.
Gotcha. It reminds me of when I was a television reporter, and I would go on stories, and I would have to you mentioned staying there and waiting for the action to happen. Oftentimes I was waiting for something to happen, someone who I wanted to interview coming out of the courthouse or the house or something like that. And then as soon as they come out, you just run for it and try to get the picture, like you said, or in my case, I had to go and do the interview.
Or get a comment about what happened, but you've got to get it. But once everybody clears out, Carlos, what'd you get? Nothing. Nothing, At least get the security guy. Ask him what he thought. Something, get something so we can put it 6 o'clock news.
Yeah, exactly. What are some of the items that you use in your line of work? You mentioned cameras.
I use a camera. Obviously, I got like 3 different cameras I use. I use one for kind of hidden, where it's like if somebody was at a restaurant, I got something I got carried that's very small that I can use if I have to do like a close-up shot. Sometimes I use my phone. The phones are really good now. They shoot in 4K, and then I have a camera that I can zoom in, 50 yards away if I have to get, if I need to stay away from a subject, and I'll shoot, it'd be I can zoom in for like 50 yards.
And how do you, do you follow people?
Yes.
And if so, how do you know when they're like at the gym or they're supposed to be at work?
Well, I try to utilize what they call GPS, my buddy. It's, I try to use tracking devices when I can, because they do help out a whole lot, and they help me eliminate. It saves my clients money, also, because I don't have to spend money to sit around doing nothing. Because I do get bored sometimes, and I'm all about the action. I want to get something. So GPSs tend to help me eliminate the time factor, like we talked about, and be able to subtract that time and say, okay, what time is he was working again? Yeah, 6. Okay. Well, GPS says he got off at 3. He's hanging out at this bar. Oh, really? Okay. So then I can start to work, and it helps me and it helps the client also to get the results faster than it would just sitting out there with nothing.
How did the pandemic treat you? Were you busy?
I did have a couple of cases,
Yeah.
during the pandemic. It wasn't really slow. I mean, it was slow for a while in the first week when they told everybody to stay home. But in the second, third week, people got antsy and just need to get outside. And, I recall one case right now where a lady who said she was going to Walmart numerous times to get groceries, and she was meeting some guy in the parking lot and having fun.
Wow.
Right there, right in Walmart. And every once in a while I still see the video, and the guys are pushing the carts back and forth, and people are getting in their car, going back and forth, and she's just there having fun in the front seat.
Wow. At this point in your career, does anything surprise you?
Not really. The lots of things I do get now. As far as cheating, I mean, I've kind of pretty much seen almost all of it. Every once in a while, I get something that kind of catches me up. But lots of things I see now, and it's been really popular, the romance scams where people fall in love with a photograph and they start sending money to somebody that doesn't exist.
Oh, okay.
You get a lot of that.
There's a word for it. What is it? I can't remember.
Romance. They call them romance scams, where
Romance scams.
they meet somebody online, and the guy or the girl is just gorgeous, and they're telling them everything they want to hear. And next thing you know, they start sending them money, and the money's going to South Africa or someplace else that doesn't, and the person keeps promising they're going to show up and never show up. So I've been getting a lot of that lately.
I've heard of that. Wow. Okay. All right. So I'm talking with Detective Daniel Gomez of Gomez Detective Agency, located in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. He played a big part in the reality show Cheaters for many years. Detective Gomez, what is your craziest moment from the show?
Well, I have two crazy moments. I had one where I had to go undercover as a clown. On this particular episode, there was a circus that used to come to Dallas. I don't know if they come or not, but it was something called the Universal Soul Circus, and it's an African American circus that comes, to Dallas. And we knew the guy was going with a buddy of his, so he said. And I just had a gut feeling. I'd been watching the guy already. I'd already caught him a couple of times, and for the TV show, we'd have to catch like 3 different times, and then we'd have a confrontation. And I just told my director, I said, I got a good feeling this guy's going to that circus with a girl, not a guy. He goes, well, what do you want to do? I said, let me dress up as a clown and try to mix in. And so I actually hired a professional clown to work with me, and he was making balloons and stuff like that. I didn't know how to do all that stuff, but
Yeah.
we waited because, when the confrontation goes down, the crew has to get there quick enough to confront them.
Mm-hmm.
So my job dressed up like a clown was to hold them for at least 5 minutes, and then have the crew catch them, after the circus was over. And it ended up working out. We caught him cheating, and it was a great case. And then there's a show that used to air about, I think, 5 years ago called The Soup. Did you ever heard of that before?
Mm-hmm.
With Joe McHale?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they recognized that episode and flew me to Los Angeles, and I won a super award for my performance on the TV show.
Oh, nice. Cool.
Yeah.
Congrats.
It was cool because they're like, oh, Detective Gomez, you're the Lawman of the Year. And I think I beat out David Caruso and Steven Seagal for the award. So,
Was there ever a fear when you were doing the show that you were going to be caught up in a fight?
My job was mainly to provide the investigation part. So once the confrontation started taking place, the crew took over. The director took over, and one of the outside producers took over, and they took over that part. And then I just kind of stood back and let them do the TV show part. Because once the investigation part was over, I was done. But I was there at the scene, but my job wasn't to get mixed up in any of the fights or anything like that.
That was more of the host, right?
Right, the host. Some of the hosts got knocked around a little bit, and some of the crew members got knocked down a little bit. And you got to realize when you're carrying these cameras and things like that, you got to watch your footing, where you're walking at. We had a couple of camera guys trying to chase somebody, and they tripped and fell, and all kinds of things happen.
What do you think triggered them to be so angry? Is because they got caught? Do you think?
But just being lied to so many times, and being told you're crazy, and being told that you don't know what you're talking about, and you don't trust me, and they clearly know something's wrong. But the number one thing I get from my clients is, well, he told me I was crazy, Detective Gomez. I mean, am I crazy? And I'm like, well, we're gonna find out.
Yeah.
I'll find out. I'll tell you if you're crazy or not.
Are cheaters clever, or are they like robbers where common sense usually goes out the door?
You know, cheaters are pretty clever in the beginning because they do plan things. But after a while, once they're so much in love with that other person or think they've gotten away with it for a while, then they start getting sloppy. So sooner or later, they do get caught. And I will tell. I'll even compliment this: the women cheaters are the best. They're the best. They're the best liars. Women cheat really well.
Why do you think people cheat in the first place?
What's the question?
Why do you think people cheat in the first place?
I think honestly because what they've gotten used to.
Yeah.
And there's so many opportunities now to cheat or to spend time with somebody else. They got these restaurants where women are half naked. They got clubs you can go, clubs like sports bars you can go to. They're tempting, and once you get hooked, once a guy gets hooked on somebody, they tend to go there a lot. And a lot of women now are doing the same thing too. They get on these websites, dating apps and things like that, and just start fishing around, and they find some guy that tells them something they've always wanted to hear, and the next thing you know, they start cheating with him.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
it goes both ways. I remember this guy was telling about that he fell in love with some girl that was sending him pictures of herself half naked, but she kept saying, "I'm coming to meet you," and he sent her $40,000
Wow.
and never met her.
Wow. That's insane.
Yeah.
How does it feel bringing answers to people who suspect their partner has been cheating on them?
It's good and bad. Sometimes I feel really good because I was able to help them get the answers they need.
Yeah.
And I've seen some of my clients after, I'll see them at the store. "Hey, Detective Gomez, thank you so much. I got divorced." And then, but initially at the time when I have to give them the answers, it's very heartbreaking because sometimes then they got to make a decision. They got to
Yeah.
decide whether they're going to get divorced, they're going to stay with him, try to work it out, confront him. What about the children? What about the house? What about all these things? All these factors have to come in, and they got to decide what they want to do. And that's not my job. My job is to help them find the truth, whether they're cheating or not. But at the end of the day, they have to decide what they're going to do with their family and her husband.
How long would you say an investigation takes from beginning
I would say
to
it
end?
takes about a month and a half to find out if something's really going on. You'll know in a month or a month and a half.
Is that the same time that you got for the show, for like episodes?
The TV show was a little bit different because the cases there, we tried to solve the ones that we could solve the quickest for television purposes.
Right.
And sometimes some just took longer than others,
Mhm.
because people sometimes think there's something going on and nothing's happening. And sometimes it's vice versa. And sometimes they don't think anything's going on. And it's, guy seeing a girl 3 times in 1 week. But the kind of the rule to show us that we catch them 3 times and then there'd be a confrontation after that.
Wow. All right.
And everybody confronts people different. Some people, I've seen some people, at the confrontations get silent, don't say much. And some people go crazy. And
Yeah, I've seen some of those episodes.
yeah, it's great for TV. But you never know how someone's going to react when somebody breaks your heart. You just never know.
Yeah. Wow. Does social media make it easier for people to cheat, and does it make it easier for you to find answers?
Yes, no, because now you can get blocked. Sometimes. But it does make it's more tempting for people to cheat because there's so much you can see, and you see women now that contact me here. If you need a phone call me here.
Right.
It's easier to be tempted to go cheat because you go, man, she's better looking than my wife at home, or he's better looking than my husband.
Yeah.
So there's so many ways to think about cheating, and then you can get into what they call their DMs, direct messages, and start sending messages and see what happens from there. You never know. You can't judge a picture just by a picture.
Yeah.
You got to see what's behind the photograph also. And sometimes you see a picture and you think people are happily married and they're miserable.
Yeah.
You just don't know. I've had some cases on Facebook where somebody from high school contacts them. "Hey, I just got divorced. How are you doing? How's everything going?" "Oh, marriage is terrible." "Really? Well, so I got divorced. Let's hook up."
Yeah. That's a great lead into my next question, which was what type of people seek out your services? Are they young lovers? Are they people that have been, together for the longest time?
I would say, most of my cases, probably about 50% of them are kind of like in their 40s, early 40s, late 30s,
Hmm.
through the maybe mid 50s. Every once in a while, I'll get some in the late 60s and 70s, but most of them is like running that late 30s, 40s age. Every once in a while, I'll get some young ones that got married when they're younger and
Yeah.
decide they got married too young, and the guy that wasn't ready to settle down. But most of my case, I would say late 30s, 40s, midlife crisis,
Hmm.
and they're kind of lost and trying to find themselves.
I would say that your services would be worth it, like taking the investment just to clear your mind and seek those answers, right?
Yeah, it's all about clearing your mind at the end of the day, because it will drive. When I got cheated on, I tell my clients, I said, three things are happening right now, aren't they? They go, what, detective? Tell me. I said, you can't eat, you can't sleep, and you can't focus. And they go, how do you know? I said, I've been through it. I've been right where you're at. I know exactly what you're going through. They go, well, how'd you handle it? I said, I had a good support group. And I said, that's what you need too. Get a good support group. And I said, now you're not alone anymore. Now, when you work with me, we're a team. So we're going to get him or her together and get you some results. Thank you. Cause I tell my friends, no, everyone's tired of hearing it. I tell my family members, they don't want to hear it. I said, well, that's why you need to hire someone that's willing to hear it
Yeah.
and understands where you've been.
Yeah. I was reading about how you in your relationships, you noticed that the person was like out of character,
Right.
and that kind of sparked like questions that you may have that she may have been cheating.
Yeah. Something, it could be something. I remember when this person had cheated on me, was like something was so routine with us. And then one day, something different, totally changed. Like, I'm not going to do something different today. And I'm like, okay,
What?
what? Oh, a good friend of mine. Who's that? Never heard of her. Oh, she's a good friend of mine. Yeah. You don't know her, but she's a good friend. I'm like, okay, well, I found out, Emily had a, mustache, you know what I mean? I'm like, what, you know? So just, sometimes, something's wrong. Sometimes you just got to figure it out. And sometimes, that's what I'm here for. You need a little help.
Do you find that most of the cases that you've investigated are kind of similar?
They're all similar as far as the feelings they have. They feel like they're alone. They feel like they don't have an answer to what's happening, and they want answers. They want closure one way
Yeah.
or another, whether it's cheating or not. They just want to know. And sometimes that's the similar part. But I will tell you this: it doesn't matter if you're black, white, Hispanic, Asian. Doesn't matter. A broken heart's a broken heart, and rich or poor, doesn't matter. They want to know.
Mhm. And then my last question to you, you kind of answered it already. What are the signs someone is cheating on you? You mentioned being out of character, a routine that's not, the same.
I would say, there's not really a sign they're cheating. There's a sign they're being distant.
Mhm.
So you've got to find out what changed in their personality. Because I remember, like, for example, I'll use my example. The girl I was seeing, I remember she would just look at me just a little bit different. And I go, it's like her mind was someplace else.
Yeah.
All in one day, I was like, wait a minute. She looks like she's just not there. She's there, but she's not there.
Yeah.
And then her personality was a little different. She'd get mad about things early, fast. Didn't want to see me as much. I'm like, okay, something's going on here. I don't know what, but I'm going to figure it out. And it took me about a month to figure it out. And then after that, I said, okay, now I'm on to something. I'm going to, of course, being Latino, of course, who is this guy? What does he do? All these kind of things. And that's, people just want to know what your competition looks like too, right? So, all those things go into factor. And these same things happen in my investigations. We get women that I want to know what their girl looks like. So I want to know if she looks better than me. They want to know. But those things are the main things I try to tell people to pay attention. Time, personality, how they act at home, when they start to get arguments, trying to get away from home, different things like that that's something different about them. Now, it doesn't mean they're cheating. It's just signs that something could be happening.
So I'm talking with Detective Daniel Gomez of Gomez Detective Agency, located in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. He played a big part in the reality show Cheaters, for many years. How big is your agency?
I have myself, and I actually have 2 females and 1 guy that works with me.
Oh, okay. And do you have any upcoming projects, any more TV reality shows in the works?
I'm working on I'm working right now. I'm working on a infidelity course where I give people tips and things like that on how to identify a cheater. That should be up on my website towards the end of April. And then I'm working on a little kind of I want to call it a YouTube show where Detective Gomez tracks people down. And it's not all about cheating, it's about anything you could be lying about. So I track people down, and I'm not going to say it's a confrontation, but the client does show up at location and finds out why they're lying about what they're doing. And it could be anything from a guy cheating on his diet, or a guy, saying he's going, work and hanging out at the baseball game. It could be anything, but my job is to track them down and have some kind of resolution for my client.
What's the website where people can find more information, or if they have questions they want to ask you, or if they want to inquire about your services?
DetectiveGomez.com. Very easy.
Cool.
If you don't know how to spell it, sound it out.
Exactly.
Very simple. I had somebody ask me, how do you spell detective? I said, man, just sound it out. DetectiveGomez.com. Very simple. With a Z.
Very cool. Well, Detective Daniel Gomez, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate your information and your story. And I hope that people learn something and reach out to you if they, in need of service and help.
I'll be glad to help, Carlos. Thank you so much.
All right. And you're always welcome. So thank you so much. God bless you.
Okay, take care. We'll see you next time.
And that's a wrap. Thanks so much for watching and for listening. This episode was written and produced by yours truly, Carlos Correa. Carlos Tonight theme by Sken, Galis. Head over to carlostonight.com for the latest on the podcast, see upcoming guests, and check out past episodes. That's carlostonight.com.